Hey everyone, Mukluk here, and today is Friday, March 4th, and some new information was just posted on the Guild Wars 2 forums that I felt was newsworthy, so I am making this video to pass it around. It is related to Dragon's End, aka the Jade Sea, the fourth and last zone of the 4 open world zones in End of Dragons. Now, this is going to be spoiler-free. We're mainly talking about mechanics and bugs of a fight, so if you haven't finished the story, I will try to explain this in a way that will not give you any spoilers, and also explain the reasoning why I think they're doing most of these things. Starting from the beginning, the Jade Sea meta was designed to be the ultimate open world finale, an epic conclusion to the 10-year Elder Dragon story arc. To accomplish this, we challenged our own conventions for creating open world content to provide an encounter unlike anything ever seen before in Guild Wars 2. As such, the encounter was designed from the start to be challenging, but progressively more doable as players learn mechanics and how to handle phase transitions. We're monitoring completion rates very closely and are currently happy to see that successful clears are becoming more common as strategies evolve and players learn and master the encounter. Right now, we are not making any adjustments to the overall health of the boss. Instead, we are looking at ways to incentivize players to engage with and complete the encounter's core mechanics. Here are a few examples of changes you can expect to see with the next game update. So, really quickly, just to pause here, just to kind of make sure that everybody watching this is on the same level of understanding. The Dragon's End meta event is quite challenging. It is quite challenging. Essentially, you get a zone full of people, 50 plus people. They break up into 3 groups, 3 lanes, similar to Dragon's Stand on the Heart of Thorns. They go down these lanes accomplishing lots of events and objectives. You build up a buff on your character, and that buff, when it gets to 10 stacks, you're doing like 20% bonus damage and some other bonuses as well. Makes you much stronger. You go through that, you do all these events, and then first of all, there's a timer, and if you fail getting the events done before the timer fails, you lose right then and there. However, if you get the events done before the timer runs out, then you start scaling to the top of a high structure, and you start fighting, I'll just say, the boss. And the boss has a timer, and there are different points during the fight where the boss goes invulnerable and you can't do damage until these other mechanics are taken care of. And because of the amount of time you're spending running around and the amount of time you're not allowed to attack, it's a pretty tight timer. There's a lot of people that are failing this event repeatedly, or they beat it with 1 minute remaining on the clock, or 5 minutes remaining on the clock. You know, like the higher ends of the remaining time I've seen is 5 to 6 minutes, and that's after like a 2-hour-long event, roughly. So obviously, the more people doing really high DPS that aren't dying to stuff, the better you're going to do. But the fate of the whole event definitely needs everybody there putting in some serious effort. So to continue, I'll touch on these one by one. They fixed an issue where the green circle phase could be completed under incorrect circumstances. After the update, players must coordinate to ensure all green circles are taken, and each player makes it back to the platform. Once every player is returned, the phase will complete. So, that mechanic, for anyone who might have never seen it or doesn't understand it, there is a ring of green circles. So it'd be like circle, 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 making a larger circle. Players stand in each of them. O-Ring does some mojo, and you turn into like a large crystal, and your spirit, or what looks like a ball of light, falls off of the tower, and you're down by the ground. At that point, your dodge bar shows like that you've got 6 dodges. Every time you hit the space bar, you jump up in elevation and you use a dodge. So your goal is to spam jump through the sky back up to the top of the tower, and you pass through these like energy orbs on the way up to refill your stamina as you're going. So a lot of people have described it as a jumping puzzle. It's basically spamming the spacebar and running through balls of light on your way upward. Once you get back to the tower, you get a button to go back into your body, and that crystal that was made from you is still there. There's an attack later on the boss will do where you have to hide behind the crystals and use them to as like a human shield, essentially. Now here's the kicker. Right now, when everybody gets turned into these sparks of light, you can't attack the boss until I believe everybody is back. So that is a lot of time where you can't DPS. The timer is ticking, but you can't do anything to advance the fight while you wait on everybody. Another strategy that I've seen some people promoting is basically skip the green. They yell at everyone, don't stand in green, don't stand in green, don't stand in green. Everyone gets out of these greens, and then if no one's in the greens, the boss nukes and kills the platform, but then you all just respawn and then keep going. And you skip that section of time where you cannot attack the boss. Now, I personally thought that there's no way that they were going to keep that, right? Like, that wasn't intended. That was that's clever. It's like, okay, you get a cookie. That's clever. But there was no way that that was, intended, or what the people that developed this were going to want us to do. So they're saying now, players must coordinate to ensure all green circles are taken, and that each player makes it back to the platform. Once every player can return, that phase will complete. So to translate this paragraph, you're not supposed to do skip greens. To accompany this change, the time to complete this phase has been reduced from 120 to 75 seconds. I want to point out, the very first time that I got turned into a wisp, I had to stop, read all my tooltips, and then I was still able to make it to the top in time. You're just spamming the spacebar. It's just, jump, 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 and you're aiming for lights on the way up, and then you're back up there. That's it. 75 seconds is still very generous, okay? This buys players 90 more seconds to fight the boss in a worst-case scenario. The reason they say 90 seconds is because this mechanic happens multiple times during the fight. This buys players 90 more seconds to fight the boss in a worst-case scenario, where all the intended amount of green circle players do not make it back to the top of the boss area. So if the green circle wisp players don't make it back up to the arena before the time runs out, they die. Now, they can respawn and rejoin the event, but they die from that. And then the people that are up there just waiting can go back to attacking the boss. So this gives you more DPS time. The duration of the outgoing damage buff provided to green circle players who successfully made it back to the top of the boss arena has been increased. This should allow it to remain active against the final boss, even when players who reach the top of the platform very quickly. So if you're the first person to make it back up and you get a buff, you don't want that buff to wear off while you're waiting on the other slower people to make it up, and then you can finally attack the boss. That's what this was tackling. The duration of the exposed debuff from break bars in this encounter has been increased from 10 seconds to 30 seconds. For new players, anytime you see a boss that's got that blue bar, that's the break bar, and you interrupt it, they get a debuff that increases how much damage they take dramatically. So that is exposed. So they have greatly increased how long the exposed debuff lasts. This further incentivizes engaging with the break bar, and it should increase group damage output when completing the mechanic correctly. This change applies to both the final boss and all mini-bosses in the final encounter. That's awesome. The final boss should now more responsively transition from stunned or vulnerable states when pushed to any health threshold, greatly reducing the amount of time players spend waiting for a phase transition to begin. Now, this one is the only one I'm not, completely sure what it's referring to. I assume it's talking about when you CC the boss and then maybe it's doing a long animation, it reels back and then starts monologuing and tell us about its rough childhood, stuff like that. I assume that they've smoothed that out so you don't have to wait as long. We recognize that your feedback touches on both the difficulty of the encounter itself and acquisition of the Siege Turtle collection. For now, we're targeting changes to improve successful rates of the encounter. Let me pause here again. So the very first step of getting the Siege Turtle is to beat this meta. You beat this meta and you will get a Siege Turtle egg, which is step 1 of an achievement. And really, most people are saying that that's the hardest step. Most of the stuff after that, you can just bop, 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 bop. It's you get it some lettuce, you get it some carrots, you get it some strawberries. It's really easy stuff after that for the most part. The hardest part at this second in time is just getting this meta done. So right now, it's kind of a wall blocking a lot of people from getting the turtle. If these changes don't have the effect that we're looking for, we will look at further changes to the encounter or potentially offer alternative acquisition paths for the Siege Turtle collection. We'll be monitoring the impact of those changes over the weekend. So I myself, and I'm going to go ahead and show this because I know someone will drop it in the comments. Okay, so I myself tweeted this yesterday. I think I'm going to have to step away from attempting the Dragon's End meta for a couple days. 6 hours of failed attempts due to others outside of my control have left me broken. I can't even make content for the new mount due to it being walled behind this. Now, I've had some very generous offers from some other content creators like Mighty Teapot and Snebzor who are leading, like, bigger groups that are doing this stuff all the time. And so far I've just politely declined. I just said I wanted to take a break. Yeah, I get the frustration. So, for example, if you were with a group that were trying to do the skip green strat, and you're like, everyone get out of green, everyone got out of green, you're yelling at 50 people. And if one of those people steps in the green circle, the run is ruined. Now, that's fortunately not going to be an issue much longer because the skip greens strategy is going to get nuked, so that won't be a thing anymore. The other thing is, let's say you have a bunch of people, they go off the tower and you're like, okay, we're waiting on everyone to get back so we can DPS again, and then one of the guys goes AFK. I have also heard stories from other people of a bunch of people up there going, all right, get out of the greens, and one guy standing in the green mounts on his siege turtle. Basically showing, hey, look, I've got it, and none of you will now. And then he ruins the whole strat. So the issue I had with this, we're leaving basically, the upcoming changes, and we're going into just my opinion, is like, this meta is fun. It is gorgeous. The music is amazing. I really enjoyed it. I hate doing a 2-hour event where one person can throw a wrench in the whole thing for 50 people. Like, if you have a mechanic where one person can make a mistake and the whole group suffers for it, like, that's a tough raid. Like, that is the difference between the easy raids and the tough raids, is the addition of a mechanic where one person can kill everyone. And the getting rid of the skip greens phase will help with that. Making it to where the 120 seconds down to 75 will help with the other version of that, where you can't DPS the boss until the last person gets back or the timer runs out. So that will help with that as well. I think that'd be great. I've heard so many people say they failed at like 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute. If this is adding 90 more seconds of DPS time, the exposed debuff is adding more DPS time. This might be enough. This truly might be enough. I myself haven't finished the meta yet because I've done 6 hours of failed attempts. I know other people that have done 12 plus, so I know I'm not alone. Yeah, we'll see. I think this will certainly be enough to increase the success rate of the meta. Like, you can get it done now, but it just takes a really, really well-coordinated group. Many of them are getting on Discord, like they're all on voice chat, they're all pre-buffing, they're making sure to do 10 events beforehand to get the 20% damage buff, they're eating ascended food, they're doing everything possible to squeeze this out. One thing I'm very curious of is after everybody's gotten their turtles, if the rewards will be good enough for people to want to keep doing it. Because it is a long meta. It is 1.5 to 2 hours long if you're counting the pre-events and stuff like that. So if everybody gets their turtles, will it be worth continuing to do it? Time will tell, but that is something that I am thinking about right now. It is absolutely fun and engaging, but we will see if it stands the test of time. So, that's it for now. Also, it's not really related to this video, but I find myself an opportunity here to just let you guys know. If you have Prime Gaming through Amazon, Guild Wars 2 rewards popped back up on there. So don't bother trying to claim this code. I've already claimed it. This one gets you 5 boosters, and there's going to be 2 more coming soon. But yeah, I'll have a link to the Prime Gaming down in the comments below. If you have Prime and you don't know how to access this, I will put it there. But yeah, free boosters and 2 more prizes coming soon. So make sure to claim that if you've got it sitting there. That's all the news for today, and I'll see you next time.